Hi, everyone. We're about to get started in a minute. Thank you for joining us. Okay, ready to get started. Hi, everyone. My name is Nancy, and I lead partnerships at Talking Points. Thank you for joining our webinar to learn more about our multilingual family engagement platform and how you can use Talking Points to meaningfully engage your families during this critical time. This webinar is for school leaders and district administrators. If you are looking for information on Talking Points for teachers, we have pre-taped webinars on our YouTube channel, so please check it out. A couple of items before we get started. We'll be hosting a live Q&A session during this webinar. So if you have any questions, please submit your questions under the Q&A channel, and our team will be able to answer your questions in real time. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave those under the comments channel and we'll be able to respond accordingly. Great. Great, let's get started. First, I will start with talking points for schools for accessing your Talking Points account at the school site level. And then I will briefly provide an overview of Talking Points for districts. You'll come to this home screen. And I logged in using a username and password. You can also log in using Clever Single Sign-On or Google Single Sign-On, depending on what your district supports. So you will come to your home screen that looks like this. It will have your inbox that lists all of your messages, all the incoming messages for the school and for your teachers. And then you'll see your composed message button here. And all of the important information are on the left-hand tab here, which I'll go over. First, let's look at our messages. So for the messages in the inbox, you'll see all of the incoming messages to the school and for your teachers. And we'll also show you which messages have been unread, so you can check on those. You can click on any message to see the message thread, all the communication that's been sent back and forth between the school and the parent, or between the teacher and the parent or guardian. So as you can see for Jose Gonzalez, we'll take a look here. And what you'll see here is the student information that we'll pull from your student information system for uploading CSV file for you for account setup. And we'll see here all of the contact information, so parent and guardian information listed here, including the home language, the phone number, and whether or not the parent is using the parent app or receiving your messages as a text message. You can see that here. So let's see the communication. The two-way communication between Jose Gonzalez and his father. His father, Jose Gonzalez, is saying that they learned about paying attention in class, and this message was sent in Spanish, which you can see the translation here. And the parent responded in Spanish, which was translated back into English for the teacher. So you see the two-way communication, two-way translation taking place here. In addition to that, parents can initiate conversations. So in this case, the parents sent the teacher a message asking if Jose is doing better in class. So here's the original message sent in Spanish that was translated into English for the teacher. And you'll see all of the communication that this parent has received from the teacher and from the school in this thread. Additionally, you can see that teachers can send links and photos. You can attach links and photos to your messages. Yes. Great. And lastly, you can also see whether or not the message was read. So we support read receipts for parents who are on the parent app. For SMS, we'll show whether or not the message was sent. Great. Okay, let's go back to our messages. And up here, you'll see all of the different folders we have in your inbox. So here's the inbox here. It shows that you have one unread message. If we go to the Sent Messages tab, you'll be able to see all of the messages that were sent to families, either from the school account or the teacher's account. So here, you'll see this is school messages only, but if you wanted to see all messages, you can click on all messages, or teachers messages only if you want to see the communication that's taking place between your teachers and families. So let's see here. If we take a closer look, you'll see from and to, from base school, but you'll see in parentheses, the person, the school administrator who sent out this message. So this is important because there can be several school administrators sharing the school account. So this shows internally, this is only on your end. On the parent's end, it'll just show that the message was sent from the school. But internally, you can see that Albert Einstein sent this message. So you can see who sent the message and be able to coordinate efforts that way. And if you schedule a message to go out on a different date or time, they'll appear here. And for pre-scheduled messages, if you need to cancel, you can do all of that here. And lastly, we flag any inappropriate messaging for you. With any inappropriate language, we'll show the flagged word here for that the school or teacher or parent, any conversations that need to be flagged will be here, so you can take a look into it and investigate as necessary. Great. Now I will show you how to send the message. So if you go here on the left-hand side, you'll see the Compose Message button. If you click on that here, you can select recipients. So you can send the message to all, so all families at once, or by grade level, by classrooms, by groups, or to individual students here by typing the student's name. For this example, I'm going to send a school-wide message. Now I'll type my message in here in English. Hello, families. We are providing Chromebooks to support your students learning at home. Please come by the school on Friday at 2 to pick it up. So we've seen a lot of messages go out about Chromebook distribution, food distribution by the schools currently. So this is a message applicable right now that you can send, or you can schedule to go out on a different date or time. So if the Chromebook distribution is happening on Monday, you can send out a reminder on Sunday night, and you could change the time here to a different date or different time. So maybe 6, set a different date or time here. And then when you click send, it'll go into your schedule messages tab. So I'll show you how that works here. Send, message scheduled, and then you go to schedule messages and then appears here. Great. And let's just say the date and time changes. Now it's going to be on a different date or time. You can edit that message here, or you can delete it. So that's one way this works. You can delete the message. I'm going to delete the message for now. Great. Okay, now let's go back to composing a message. You can select recipients. Let's just say now you want to send a message to individual families. Let's say you need to contact Jose and Hiju's parents or guardians. You can send a message here. They'll receive your messages as individual messages, so they won't know that they're part of this group. So any messages that are applicable, you don't have to send individually. You can send to Jose and Hiju's parents, and they can have a one-on-one conversation with you. That's one way. And then we also have templates here, pre-written templates. We recommend sending this message as your first message when you get started on Talking Points. And you'll see a couple of things. And what they mean is in the brackets, it says school. So your school's name will be entered here automatically. And then over here, it says student first name. The student's name, so Jose's name will appear here. Hiju's name will appear here for their contacts. It's a way to customize the message for all families. And we could do this when you send to all families or customize for all of the students. So their names will appear in the messages when the parents receive them. And we know that parents pay attention to the messages regarding their child. So this is one way that you can make sure that your messages are read and seen and the parents come to look for your messages. A couple of other additional features here are to save your message. So if you plan on using a message over again, if you plan on sending repeat messages, you can click here, Save Message, and they'll show up here. You start creating your own library. So when you click on it, you don't have to type it or copy and paste from a different Google Doc. You can start building your library here. Creating a template, this is a very useful feature for supporting your teachers and communicating with their families. So you can type a message. Families, we are starting remote learning today. So if there's a message that you would like your teachers to communicate with families, you can create a template, save the template. Then when you go back, it'll show up here under school. And it'll show up in your teacher's Talking Points account so they can send that message home to families. And lastly, you can attach files, photos or images, and files from Google Drive to your messages in addition to links. So this is really helpful. We've seen a lot of schools send photos of flyers, important information that you can attach to your message in addition to additional files. And teachers use this as well. So we see a lot of pictures coming back and forth, and that's another way to support communication with your families and letting them know about the important resources that are available at your school. Great. Okay. Now I'm going to go and show you what's here on the left-hand side. All of the important information that you need will be here. So if there's anything you're looking for, please come look. So your messages are here. Next are contacts. So a couple of things to note here. We'll be setting up your school account, your student information system through Clever or through CSV Upload. So we'll receive all of your students' information here, and including students' names, the student rosters, the class rosters, the contact information, so parent and guardian phone numbers, as well as home languages. So you can check your list here. Here are all contacts. These are all contacts with working phone numbers that are ready to message. And that's an additional check that we provide that your student information system doesn't offer. Student information system doesn't offer. So once we receive all the phone numbers, we'll do a check and we'll show which families have working cell phone numbers listed in the system. And for those, if we jump here, for those with invalid phone numbers, they'll show up here. So any families with landlines, disconnected phone numbers, you can check out this list and follow up with those families accordingly. But most families have at least one cell phone number listed in the student information. So receive messages from you and once you get started. Great. Now let's go here, SMS. You'll see the families who are receiving your messages as text messages, which is the default. Parents don't have to do anything to get started. They will receive your messages as soon as you send your first message through Compose. And parents can download the Parent app, which is optional. It's free. It's free for parents, and it's helpful if parents don't have unlimited texting plans. They can download the Parent app to receive all the messages for free, or for parents who prefer messaging through a mobile application. Unsubscribed. So under this list, we'll show all the families who have unsubscribed. So Talking Points, we have an opt-out system. So as soon as you send your first message, Talking Points will send the message. As soon as you send this first message to all families, Talking Points will send another message with instructions on how parents can unsubscribe. So parents can unsubscribe by texting goodbye. And that message will be translated in parents' home languages, and parents will have the opportunity to opt back in if they would like to rejoin. So we'll provide all those instructions as soon as you send your first message. But here, this list is important because you can check to see which parents have unsubscribed, so you can check in with them to see if they meant to unsubscribe, or if they unsubscribed by mistake, you can support them in rejoining your Talking Points account. And we have less than 5% unsubscribe rate, so usually it's due to wrong phone numbers. Okay, which brings me to a point I'll show you all contacts. So let's just say you start sending messages to Abby's mother at this phone number, but this is a wrong phone number. The person messages back saying, please don't send me any more messages. I don't have a student at your school. Then you will come here and you can unsubscribe this person for them. So then this person will no longer receive the school's messages or the teacher's messages. Great. Next, let's move on to your class roster. So the class roster will be pulled from your student information system through Clever, or we'll receive it through your CSV file through the one-time upload. So here are the class rosters. You can add class or groups, depending if there's, I know right now, there are a lot of different groups, reading groups, math groups that teachers and schools want to communicate with, or different assessments, different groups that are part of different clubs that you're trying to continue through remote learning. So you can include them all here. Let me do, or for the regular school year, you can also include sports teams or clubs. Here, let me include here. So you can do a homework group and then create a class. Let's see here. And then it's going to take a second. The group that's receiving additional support for homework, you go to contacts, and then you can add the students in here. So you can pick the students who are part of this group. And then now this homework group that will show up when you go to send the message. So that's how it's helpful. If you want to group students who need to receive certain messages, you can do that as well. And then also with grouping, you can also send, let's say, all the Spanish-speaking families a message if there are certain resources for them that are helpful. By language, you can group families this way as well, by typing in the language under select recipients. So this is really helpful. I know everyone is stretched for time right now. There's a lot of information that needs to go home. And this also prevents over messaging families. So really grouping families in a way that all the information that they're receiving are pertinent to them and helpful. Great. I will move on to the staff list. So here are all the staff members who have access to Talking Points through your school account. So again, we will receive this information from Clever, and we sync with Clever every night. So if there's a new teacher who comes into the system, they'll show up in Talking Points the next day. Same for the students. And here you'll see under status, the important thing to note here is to see, we'll show you which teachers have logged into their account and have gotten started, which teachers may need additional support, and which teachers haven't gotten started yet. So you'll see here, okay means they've logged into their account. Pending invite, this teacher has yet to John has yet to sign into his Talking Points account, so you can send an invitation again. And the invitation is for those teachers who will be using a username and password to log in. But for districts who have Clever Single Sign-On, Google Single Sign-On, they can just go directly to our website to log in. And then not invited yet, these teachers are new. They haven't been invited to join, so you can send them an invitation by clicking here. And this will be an email invitation. So teachers will receive an email asking them to join your school's Talking Points account. And we'll walk them through step by step on how to do that. Great. And this is really helpful. This will change in real time. So once you roll this out to your staff, you can check in on a daily basis to see which teachers may need the invitation again or a reminder, and which teachers have gotten started who might be able to help. We also have parent letters that have been translated into families' home languages that you can send home. And this explains how Talking Points works and about downloading our parent app if they're interested. So you can also send these home to families through Talking Points by attaching the messages to your message, attaching the letters to your message. Now I'll go to the polls. This is a more advanced feature. So that usually schools start using a little bit later, but I'll show you anyways. But usually at the beginning, you'll be sending the school-wide messages, individual group messages, but the polls are sending multiple choice questions to families that they can respond, and I'll show you how this works. So for example, this is from the start of the school year. It said, hello families, we're having back to school night on September 8th at 6 p.m. Would you be able to attend? So this is great to take a poll for attendance, any type of support that parents need. If they need a translator, you can ask families if they need a translator. And what's great about here is not only do you get the percentage in terms of the percentage of parents who responded yes and no, you can see the list to see which parents responded yes and which parents responded no, so you can follow up accordingly. And we also have an auto reply feature as well, where all the parents who replied yes will receive a certain response from the school. All the parents who replied no will receive a different reply from the school. So that's something you can set up, especially if you're sending it on a school-wide basis, since you can't respond to all the parents individually. And last but not least, we'll get to our analytics dashboard. This is the part where our school leaders get the most excited about, aside from sending messages. So here, you'll see here our analytics dashboard. I'll start with the general section and then move on to teacher and family engagement. So here you'll see totals. So you'll see the number of students, 500 students at your school, and students can have more than one contact, which is why you see 700 here. So students can have more than one contact, and we actually recommend having more than one contact, especially for families with changing phone numbers, transient student populations. It's better to have that the messages are reaching at least one family member. And for those contacts, they can also set different home languages. So one parent can receive the message in English, the other parent, let's say in Spanish. And so everyone's communicating in a language that they're comfortable with. You have 25 teachers and 3 school admins. So these admins, 3 admins, are the ones who are sharing the school account, which I mentioned before in your inbox. It'll show, because you're sharing this account, who sent the message out from the school account. Their name will be in parentheses. You see the breakdown of context by language and breakdown of context by platform. The majority of our families are on SMS, but this is just for the demo purposes, but majority of our families are on SMS. The invalid phone numbers. So Again, we'll conduct a check once we sync with your student information system through Clever or through the CSV upload. Once we get all the phone numbers, we run an additional check to see which phone numbers are valid cell phone numbers, which phone numbers are working numbers or landlines or disconnected. It shows here that only 5% of the phone numbers are invalid numbers. So what's great here is we get the list of families with invalid phone numbers so you can follow up with them. Great. And the same here for unsubscribed families. So you can see, 2% of families have unsubscribed. So you can also download the list here to follow up and see if that was intentional or if they need any help rejoining. Great. Let me just check. Great. And thank you for writing in your questions. I see the live chat is happening. Just want to take a quick pause here just to check in. Great. Thank you everyone for your participation. Great. And thank you to our team for hosting this live Q&A session throughout this webinar. Wonderful. Great. And now let me move on to the messages part. So here you'll see school admins. So those are the ones who have access to the school account. So there were 3 of you for this school account. There's 3 school administrators, and they can be part of the leadership team or part of the office staff. Sometimes schools have attendance, their attendance office have access. So you can send messages about attendance as well. And anyone who needs access to school-wide messaging, family engagement coordinators as well, can have access to a school admin account. It's really up to you how you structure this. Great. So total sent for school admins, this is for the school year. So the school administrators have sent 50 individual messages in total this school year and 25 announcements. And what this means, we make this distinction here between individual messages and announcements. Individual messages are one-on-one conversations with families. Announcements are sent to more than one family. So we make this distinction because it's really the one-on-one messages that have the greatest impact with families, especially at the classroom level, which I'll go into. Schools will most likely send more announcements, but for teachers, we recommend sending more individual messages than announcements. Okay. Here you'll see you can set the date range to see the data below. You can see just today to see how many messages this last 30 days this month, the last month, or you can custom range. So if you're having a meeting and you want to see the messaging activity at the school level for the past, let's see here, last 30 days, you can pull this up here. And this is showing us daily, but if you would like a weekly report, you can have that as well, or monthly. This is really helpful. And you could also download this graph if you want to create your own report. So, and the data into a CSV or Excel file. So I know a lot of principals have used this to create reports, end of year reports, to show how their schools are communicating with families and supporting families throughout the school year. Great. And then we'll move on to teachers. So you'll be able to see how many messages in total teachers have sent this school year. So 300 individual messages and 100 announcements. So this is a total, but if you also want to see, okay, in the last 30 days, I want to see how many messages the teachers have sent, you can pull up the graph here. And you could also download the data, again, into a CSV or Excel file. You can download this graph if you want to create your own report for your staff meeting. And I know a lot of principals use the analytics dashboard and show this dashboard during their staff meetings. So to show how they're progressing towards their family engagement goals. That's something, it's a recommendation. And lastly, let's move on to families. So parents will show how parents and guardians have been communicating with the schools and teachers. They've sent individual messages because their conversations with you are one-on-one. So they won't be sending announcements. And There isn't a reply all because even when the school sends an announcement to all families, it's a one-on-one conversation with the parents and guardians. So when they reply, it'll be a one-on-one conversation with you. Again, this is 150 for the school year, and then you can filter. Let's see, it's pulling it up. Yeah, by different date ranges, and also showing daily, weekly, monthly, filtering that way. Also pulling this down into a report. Great, so that's an overview. So if you wanted an overview of how the school is doing, you can check here. But if you wanted to go into, let's say, teacher engagement to see how your teachers are communicating with families, click on this tab here. And again, here's the date range. So if you just want to see today, yesterday, but let's keep it at this month. And we have a teacher leaderboard. So what this shows are the teachers who have sent the most messages within this date range. So Jimmy sent 70 messages in total, and then so on. So you can see, identify which teachers are using talking points to communicate with their families, and which teachers that you can reach out to about best practices to see if they can support the other teachers who might need some support getting started. And you can see the rest of your list here, your staff list. And again, we have the breakdown of messages and announcements. So this is exactly what we want to see, that teachers are sending more individual messages than announcements. Because announcements are important, but those general messages are important, but it's really the individual messages that the parents look for, really want to hear about their child and have that communication with the teachers. Great. And again, you can download all of this into the graph and the data so you can create your own reports as needed. Lastly, move on to family engagement. Great. And we have a note here, just a tip from our work with families and teachers, that sending positive messages really has a strong impact on building those school-family partnerships. So we're really encouraging teachers to send at least one positive message to families each week and the class announcement each week. So this is something that you could share with your teachers, and it's really easy to do, as you've seen before, just going to compose, selecting recipients, typing your message, and delivering the messages. Great. Here you'll see the student's name. You'll see, and by students, so we're showing the data by student, but it's really their parents or guardians in terms of them receiving the messages. It's not the students, but we're identifying by student for the parents and guardians. So here you'll be able to see, and we also highlight any zeros. And this is really helpful because sometimes schools may not know that, certain families haven't received any messages from the school or teachers within the past month. It's for you to be able to reach out and make sure that no families are being left behind, and that all families are receiving the necessary communication. And you could also see messages sent to teachers. So this is showing how active the parents are, how many messages they're sending to teachers or the school. So again, that two-way communication. Messages received from teachers, messages received from the school. These are outgoing messages. And then announcements received from teachers and from schools. Again, these are outgoing messages to the families. So you can track to see which families, which parents and guardians are the most active and really participating in talking points, especially now when schools are closed and you're communicating remotely. You'll be able to see which parents are being really active and which parents may need some additional support in engaging with the school. Great. And all of this you can download into a report, into an Excel file or a CSV file. And that's it in terms of the analytics piece. But I know schools have told us that the filtering here has been really important. So you can see which families, again, the zeros, to see which families haven't heard from the schools or teachers or which families haven't been engaging on Talking Points to check in with them. Great. And now that's it in terms of the board. I will show you a couple of other things before moving on to the district account. Here, if you click on the lower left side here, you'll see your name. If you click on it, you can go to your profile, and this is helpful. You can check all the information, and you can change your notifications here. So the default is for every incoming message, you'll receive an email. If you're logged in, if you have this open on your computer, you will not receive an email. So just be mindful of that. We have a lot of school leaders who have this open next to their email and might not be checking all the time, wondering where the notifications are. So just be mindful of that piece. If you would like to change your password, you can do that here. And I'm going to show you one other thing here. If you go to help, we have all of our resources. So in addition to this webinar, we have a lot of help articles and resources to help you and your teachers get started. So I highly recommend coming here. If you have any quick questions, any follow-up questions after this webinar, you can go to our help center. And just as you are doing with our Q&A, with our live Q&A, you can go here to the bottom lower right, click on the question mark, and I'll have also the resources that I just showed you, the resources page. It's another way to get there, and to chat with a member of our team. So as you can see, our team is here to support you. You can start a new conversation and type in the message, "Hi, I'm having trouble sending a message." And the more information you can provide us, the better. The sooner we can get to the bottom of what's happening. So please, if you're trying to send a message and it's not going through, or you're having trouble trying to do something, please let us know the student's name, the parent guardian's phone number that you're trying to reach, any other additional information such as screenshots that will be helpful for us to really figure out what's going on and get back to you. And right now we're trying to get back to you as soon as possible. We triage these messages, so based on priority. So please send us your questions here, and you'll receive an email once there's a response from a member of our team. Great. Okay. I will pause here, go back to our home screen, which is our inbox, and then I will pause here and see if there are any additional questions about the Talking Points for Schools account before moving on to our district account. Let me see. Great. I see that some of you are writing in who recently gotten started through our COVID-19 response program. So thank you for attending the webinar. And there's some of you who are waiting to get started. So I know you're eager to get your account set up. We're working as soon as, we're working hard to get that set up for you. So I know there's, right now everyone wants their account set up as soon as possible. And it's really exciting to see everyone here engaging in the conversation. Great. And thank you to my colleagues Alma and Paige who are supporting with the Q&A. Great. I don't see anything here that's still pending, so I will move on to the district account. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to log out of this account. Again, the bottom left, log out of. Great, and I'm going to log into using a username and password. The district account. So just to show you here, you could use a username and password or Google single sign-on, or you can sign in through Facebook, or Clever single sign-on is something that we support if your district has it. Great, I'm gonna log in. Great. And again, just letting you know that this is a demo account, so all the information here is for demo purposes only. It does not reflect real student data, and just wanted to let you know this is for demo purposes only. So for district administrators, this is your account. This is your home page. When you log into your account, your Talking Points account, you'll see all of the messages, the incoming messages to your schools and to your teachers. So one level up from the school account, you'll have access to all the communication that's happening at the school and classroom levels. So again, it looks exactly the same as a school account, but your level of access is one level higher. Great. And you can filter by school. Let's just say if you're having a meeting with one of your schools, you can filter by school with the elementary school principal or middle school, or you want to really look into how the different schools are using Talking Points, you can filter here. You can filter by staff member by typing in the teacher's name or staff member's name and typing in the student's name. So this is great because not only do you have oversight, but you could quickly search for messages that you need if anything comes up. So this is a way, and teachers and school principals have this ability as well at the school level, but this is at the district level. And as you can see, parents text back with emojis, which we love seeing. The level of that communication taking place. Emojis are universal and also shows the comfort level of the parents and our families that they feel really comfortable communicating with school and with teachers. And it's not this formal communication and anything that they need to be intimidated about. So that's something I want to highlight here. And also you can attach photos. Here, we'll flag any inappropriate messaging for you so you can investigate as needed. And here we'll show you what word was flagged. So sometimes some of the messages that appear here are due to typos or autocorrect, and you can quickly look into that and figure that out by looking into the messages. When you click here, you'll be able to see all the message threads and look into this as well. And it shows you which school from who sent this message and to. So this is a message that a parent had sent to the school and included this message and this word on this date. So you can investigate and look into this. And I know this is really helpful because you don't have time to read every single message and to be monitoring throughout the day. So you can go in here, and whenever there's a new message, we'll also have a little mark here showing you that how many flag messages have been unread by you. Great. Now let's go to students. So these are all the students that we pull from your student information system through Clever, or we've done through CSV upload. And it shows all students with working phone numbers and they're ready to message. And you could also filter by school. All the families on SMS will also show up here. And then the number of parents on the parent app show up here. And then unsubscribed show up here. We have 0, which is great. And then any invalid phone numbers will show up here. So you have this list, and certain districts updating the phone numbers are done at the district level. Certain districts it's done at the school level. So this is really helpful. If it's done at the district level, you'll have access to all this information to know, okay, these families need to, we need to update their information, reach out, and do that for them. Great. And one way you can do that, I wanted to show you, I'll show you how to do that, but these are it for the student list. And if your district is integrating with Clever, we'll update this list every day. We'll sync with your student information system every night. So if a new student comes, let's say a new student comes to the district, to a different school, they'll show up in Talking Points the next day. Now let's go to your schools. Right here, we have a couple of schools here, but all of your schools will be listed here on the left-hand side. So let's say Bay Elementary School. Let's look into this account. It shows all the classes, the number of students, and how many staff members have access. And what's great about this is it gives you an overview, a high-level view, but if you want to go into the school's account, you can do that as well. So that's what, and you have all the lists here, the school admin, staff, contacts, which are all pulled. And but what's great about here is you can go to open school product and you can go into the school account. I'm not going to do it now because I would like to stay in the district account, but if you click here, it will bring you to the school account. So you'll be seeing the account as if you were a school administrator, exactly what they're seeing. So if you needed to send a message for the school or want to check to see what's happening, you can go directly into the school account. We also have a disable school button here. And this, if let's say there's transition at the leadership level, the principal transition, or there's something going on at the school and you want to pause talking points, you don't want the school to send any messages for the time being through talking points, you can click disable and then the school will be disabled. You'll see the little mark here. So this school, Bay Elementary School, does not have access to, won't be able to send messages through talking points. So they won't be able to log in either. So they'll have an error message saying their talking points account has been paused by the district and to reach out to you for further information. Now you can go to enable school. Let's say that the new school leader is there and now has been trained and is ready to use talking points. Now the school has been enabled. That's one feature I know that district administrators really like having, just for case by case. And you'll see all the schools here. You could download these lists if you need to. Again, if you need to download the list, you can do that here. The other piece that district administrators have access to is being able to manually add students, classes, and staff to schools' talking points accounts. So let's say you're integrating with Clever. We're pulling all the data from your student information system, but there are staff members who need access to talking points who are not listed in your student information system. Then you can go and add those staff members manually, and it won't be affected by the sync. So we'll import the staff members from Clever, and also you can add, let's say, the nurses, the family engagement coordinators, any other staff members who might not be listed depending on how your SIS is set up. So that's one way here. And then when you invite them, they'll receive an email to join this school, Bay Elementary School's Talking Points account. And the same for students. Let's say for some reason you're having trouble with the account, you can also, let's say if you're having trouble with your system or it's taking a while to upload the student into your student information system, you can also add students at the contacts here. Create new contact. You can manually add anyone at the school level directly here. So create new contact. Add the student manually until the data is updated in your SIS. So that's one way. I know everyone's trying to move quickly right now, so this is one way that the district administrator can quickly upload the data that you need manually, staff and school admins and classrooms. So the district administrators by default have this ability to be able to manually add staff, students, contacts, and classes to schools' accounts, aside from the Clever syncing and CSV upload. But you can also give schools this ability as well. If you would like, I know to do this at the district level, it would be a lot of manual work and it will be a lot to keep track of. So if you would like to give that responsibility to the schools and open up that ability to manually add students, staff, classes to their Talking Points account, you can click here, can add staff classes manually. Once you check this box, once you check that box, it will show, the schools will be able to add manually, just like I showed you in your account. So this is a way, and you can I've seen districts give schools a window, so a couple of weeks to a month, saying you have 2 weeks to manually upload and add all the staff members, all the different classes that you need, and then we're going to take that away by unchecking this. And this piece, one thing to note here and why it's important to keep on top of this is that any student, staff, classes added manually need to be deleted manually from your Talking Points account. When we switch over to the new school year next year, the new student data with Clever or with the CSV upload, all of the old student information will go away that's been synced with the new student information, but any information manually added will still remain. So all of those staff members that were added manually need to be deleted manually. Any students or contacts, same for classes. So that's something to keep in mind as you open up this feature. The default is that the schools don't have the ability to manually change any of the student or class rosters. Great. And we have additional tutorials for all of these features and video tutorials as well, so which are available on our YouTube channel. So please check that out. And last but not least, I'm going to get to our analytics dashboard. Great. Again, similar to the school leaders, our district leaders love spending time here. This is where they spend their time the most, the analytics piece. And what you'll see is a general overview of all of the messaging activity for all of your schools at a high level. And here, just the totals, just to let you know, there are 25 students in total in this district, 50,000 contacts, 2,000 teachers, and 250 administrators. So you can see at a high level, how many students and contacts are receiving messages through Talking Points and how many teachers have access. Contacts by language, we have a breakdown here, similar to the school account. And then by platform, yes, this is usually over 70% of the families are on SMS. And then you can see what percentage of families are on Android or our iOS app. Again, everyone will receive the first message as a text message, and the apps are optional. Great. Again, the valid phone numbers. So if your district, you stay on top of the phone numbers at the district level, then this would be good to click and download the list of students here. Schools have access to this as well at the site level. So if that's the responsibility of the schools, they can access that on their own. But this is at a higher level. I know some districts have a system where the schools request the districts to update the information. So you can have all of that here. So we're accounting for all the cases. And here, only 1% of families have unsubscribed. Again, you can access those lists by clicking on the link here. Moving down to school administrators. So you can see how many messages school administrators have sent in total this school year, how many individual messages, and how many announcements. And again, you can filter here by date, by different date ranges, last 7 days, 30 days, this month, and also by daily, weekly, monthly. The breakdown of messages and announcements. And again, you can also download this into a report. And next, you can see for your teachers, how many messages the teachers in your district have sent, individual messages and announcements throughout the school year. The teachers are always going to send more messages, as you see, than the schools. That's what we expect. So you see here 30,000 individual messages and 10,000 announcements. So we see that here. And again, you can filter by different date ranges. Let's see, last 7 days. So you can see here. And what we're looking for here is that you're not seeing any gaps, that the communication engagement is consistent throughout the school year. So if you start noticing any gaps or a dip, you can start looking into it and talking with your school leaders to see what's happening there. and as well as the parent engagement piece. So seeing how engaged your families are through talking points, you can see how many messages they're sending back, how many messages they're initiating conversations. So you can see that here as well, be able to filter. Great. And then we'll move on to school engagement. So this piece is really helpful for you to see at a high level just which schools are using talking points to communicate and which schools are using it the most, which schools might need some additional support. And just like the teacher leaderboard, this is a school leaderboard, so you can check this out here. And again, they're sending more individual messages and announcements. So you can see the breakdown here. And yes, and this is really helpful because depending on your district's family engagement goals and how you're reaching out to families in their home languages, you can see that all of these schools are using talking points to do that. If there are any zeros, you can look into it. And sometimes the data, when you have the check-ins, what's really helpful is having this information already. So when you're checking on principals, you can have that conversation and be looking at the same data together. Great. And then lastly, family engagement. So you can also see which schools have families who are reaching out, initiating conversations where they're having the most activity on talking points. And again, this is really helpful. You can reach out to those schools to see if they have any best practices to share during any of the principal PDs and what they're doing that's having such an impact on families and having families reach back out, initiating conversations. And just like the teacher leaderboard, it's a great way to see which schools are really taking off and which schools may need additional support. This is great. All of the schools are up and running using talking points to communicate with families. I know right now as part of the COVID-19 response program, districts are trying to get set up as soon as possible and trying to get their schools, get them started as soon as possible. So this is a way to quickly check every day to see which schools are really starting to use talking points for family engagement and checking with those that might not have gotten started yet. So I think so. And that's it in terms of the overview for today for talking points for schools and districts. I'm going to just quickly check with our team to see if there's anything else before logging off. So thank you again, everyone, for your participation and for spending the time to learn more about talking points for schools and districts. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we do have webinars for our teachers as well. So if you're looking for information for your teachers, we also have pre-recorded webinars on our YouTube channel. So also, you can find resources on our website at talkingpts.org. Well, thank you everyone for your participation, and we'll be hosting additional webinars, so please be on the lookout for those emails from our team. Thank you, and please stay safe. Okay. Bye-bye.